All right, welcome back to Two Cousins, One Couch, a virtual gathering curated to help families think about our dynamics, to talk about what we've inherited, and to learn and heal through honest conversation, all in an effort to make room for deeper understanding. Now, this is episode 7, Lie and Deny, the stories we tell ourselves to survive. And as always, I look forward to what we're going to unpack. Thank you, Tina. You can definitely turn our music off. I appreciate you for being our maestro. Now, before we get to unzipping too much baggage, I want to stop and introduce myself because I heard we might have some new cousins on this couch with us. My name is Goze, and I am the oldest grandchild and granddaughter on my little limb of our family tree. I'm a niece, I'm a big sister, a cousin, an auntie, and I move through this world highly protected and deeply connected. I'm also the Black Love Permissionist. I'm an intrapersonal and interpersonal relationship advocate, certified feminine empowerment and life coach, trauma educator. I'm a restorative justice practitioner, cultural conversationalist, a multidimensional creatress, and if you ask me, I am an all around dope ass individual. Also, one half of the two cousins on this here couch. And I'm finna bring up my cousin Tina as the other half to introduce herself. And y'all better clap for her. Tina, okay? Show them that little dance you do, girl.
Not that little dance.
Show them that little dance.
The dance, my little jig. Well, I am Tina Mo for show. Um, Here on this Two Cousins, One Couch. I am in the world as first and foremost the oldest grandchild on my limb of the family tree. The oldest child. Um, I am an aunt. I am a niece. I am a daughter. I am an inspector by trade. I am also Stream Elements is in here. I don't know who's wait, no telling what that is. Um, but I'm also um a lover of the Bible, a Christian by name, by lifestyle. Um, and I am in this world just to be me, not a caricature of myself, not a figment of my own imagination,
Mm.
but who I've been created to be, just Tina.
And we love Tina, don't we? Now, if you've been following us for a while, you know that Tina and I come from a family of professional jawjackers. So if you are here with us, we invite you to join us in this conversation. We are proud to share this space with you as our honorary cousin. Now, this is our humble living room, right? We got a little digital living room going on. Of course, we got snacks in the kitchen for y'all. I think we might have even ordered a couple pizzas tonight, so feel free to grab you a little drink, cop a squat on this couch. We have a bean bag, we got chairs, we got a pallet on the floor, so snuggle up, get comfortable, and tell us how you are arriving today. And when I ask how you're arriving today, you can rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being throw the whole day away, and 10 being never better. We want to know how y'all are doing, how y'all are showing up with us tonight on this here couch. I see Yolanda, Brit Family Fun. She got her snack. She got some fruit. Oh, she's being healthy. Something to drink. We love it. We love it. And I also see we had some cousins on at 10. Okay. Black people showing up early. We love
Mm-mm.
this. We support that. Yolanda's at a 7. All right, all right. Tina, how you checking in tonight? Between 1 to 10.
Between 1 to 10, I could say I'm right now at about an 8.
Oh, snap. You at an 8? Okay. Well, then let's just go
Mhm.
ahead and lean into gratitude. This is the time of night when we do our gratitude and what we call our church announcements. So, Tina, share with the class, what are you grateful for today?
Well, today I can say that I'm grateful for new opportunities, getting things done. I had some paperwork that I had been um, having some trouble with trying to complete and turn in to the proper authorities or what have you, and got some things done today. So I feel quite accomplished in having those things done. My baby sister came in to help me with some of that paperwork, and
Ooh.
it was a beautiful thing. Of course, I love spending time with my baby sister anyway. Which
Mm-hmm.
I found out today, which I could add to um, my thankfulness, which is my baby sister said that she had been listening to my content, and I didn't know that.
Oh.
And so when she said that she was listening in last night, and I think she had heard like something in the past, like from Jeopardy or something, but she was listening last night to me and Anthony's. She said, I even heard you shout out mom last night. She was like doing your big one. I was like, oh wow.
Ooh. I
And
love
so
that.
yeah, I was like, wow, I cannot believe that my baby sister is listening to me. And she was telling me how, she had meant to listen to us while we were live, but she had forgotten. She said, how you walk into one room and then you go into another one to hit that threshold. You don't know what you came in there for. She had one of them
Mm-hmm.
moments. All of us had a problem. And so I was like, I understood where she was coming from then. But she said she caught the replay and she watched it, and she said we did pretty good. And so I was happy. I was glad that she was saying that it was good to her. And so I'm like,
Oh.
wow, that touched me in that. Um, my folks can be brutally honest. If you are raggedy, they will tell you, you know what, it's a hole in you. You need to fix
Mm-hmm.
that. And
Okay.
so they don't mind letting you know if stuff ain't just all that. You got the
Mm-hmm.
struggle bus going. And so to hear from her and have such rave reviews from her, that was like the cherry on top today.
Yes,
Above the
yes,
things that she
yes.
came in to do with me and for me. And so I'm just most certainly am glad. I see you Danielle, and I know you got to get you some rest.
Okay.
Uh yeah,
Danielle was sneaking on the phone
rest.
talking to us last time.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
we we always appreciate having you here. And I see we got Ernest Johnson, my hubby hubster, on here. Good evening, ladies. He brought the cookies and he's at a
Mhm.
6. Love it,
Mhm.
love it. Um, let's see. I would say, what am I grateful for today? Well, I'm grateful for a lot of things. I'm grateful for growth. I've been having one of those moments. I was talking to my bestie last night
Mhm.
about, you know, in short, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm absolutely nowhere near where I used to be.
Mhm.
And and I am grateful for growth and evolution and a change in attitude. Some of the challenges that I've had within the last 6 months even have taught me a lot about sometimes it's not what you're going through, but how you are perceiving what you're going through.
Mhm.
So that's where my gratitude lies. Um, you got any church announcements? I feel like you kind of gave us your church announcements, hanging out with your sister, but you might have something else.
No, actually I do have some church announcements. I can look at it from a couple of perspectives. I didn't expect to go here. In that I try to stay in the vein of transparency. I was filling out some paperwork today and I started crying. I was having one of those moments where I had like a dose of reality, so to speak.
Mm, mm,
Um, I had to take a moment to assess where am I really right now and
mhm,
to label the things that I have issues with and talk about the struggles that my day to day struggles, you know. And once I got through listing off all of the issues and all of the problems I had, at some point I became emotional because I was like,
mm,
I did not want to be, um, and it wasn't that so much as felt helpless in that moment, but I do
mhm,
know that I was discussing things like, fears and thoughts and things that cross your mind and all of that. And it was just overwhelming to really, because a lot of times in the midst of just pushing just to get to the next day and I'm just doing
mhm,
what I got to do, what I can do, what I will do, or whatever in this moment or in this space. And then finally get to that place where it's like, no, you got to pause and assess, where are you really? Let's write this down. And
mm.
so to have that conversation, uh, at some point I broke down in tears, you know, and I can say that though that was an uncomfortable space for me because I don't like all that crying and going on, but it is one of those things
Mm.
where I'm like, in that moment, I was able to acknowledge my humanity. I was able to acknowledge that though I'm still pressing my way in trying to do as much as I can, truth of the matter is there's a lot that I cannot do at the capacity that I used to. And uh, coming to that place and that realization was something else for me. While um, it was something that I did not necessarily like in the moment, discussing those
Mm.
things and having that moment of reality. At the same time, it's like, okay, I had the courage to acknowledge it. Because I remember maybe 10 years ago, I'd have been like, I'm cool. And would
I'm
have kept
good.
on pushing and
Mhm,
pressing and hurting myself even further when I'm not
mhm.
in that space and I needed to stop, pause, acknowledge what's going on so I could get the help that I needed.
Now that's some church announcements right there. That's beautiful stuff. I see we got some.
Mhm.
Oh, speaking of Anthony's too real, I hope you heard uh, what Tina was saying earlier about her sister tuning in to y'all's show, and I got to hear it today, and I just love just watching how the show is unfolding and evolving. It's beautiful. Uh, so, hello to all our honorary cousins. Welcome, welcome. It's
Hey
this.
again, Micah. You said
Thank
him
you.
that he been looking at me off and on all day, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I would say my church announcements is from my side of the family tree. It's been kind of bittersweet because uh, my grandparents' house, my late grandparents' house, we're in the process of selling it, and so that is that's bringing up some mixed feelings because that is the house that I've always gone to my whole life for summers and Christmases and different holidays. The last uh, 6, 7 years, just been a lot of funerals. We are finally selling it, and so it just feels like this place that's just always represented family and my connection to my dad's side of the family will no longer be ours. So on one hand, I'm grieving it. On the other hand, I'm interested to see how we're going to move together as a family because we won't
Mhm.
have that meeting place, which has been the hub for so many of our family connections. So that's
Mhm.
that's my church announcements for tonight. Uh, Checking in with our honorary cousins in the chat. Let us know, if you haven't already, how you're coming in on a scale of to scale of 1 to 10, 10 being never better, one being just throw the whole day away. We want to know how you're doing. Grab you some snacks, get comfortable, and also feel free to share with us. What are you grateful for? What important announcements are going on in your lives?
Um, I want to make sure that I let Micah know. Micah, this is my cousin. I know you're saying co-host, but this is my actual cousin, my vein. Uh,
Hi, Micah.
her grandfather and my grandmother are sister and brother, and so that's how
Yes,
we're
ma'am.
cousins. Yep.
Yep. Yep. We really on the family tree. We got the royalty and the loyalty inside our DNA, as Kendrick would say.
Hmm.
But
Right.
y'all are honorary cousins. We're so happy to have you here. So let's see. I guess we're gonna get on into it. Last time we came together as a family, we really dug into a conversation around voice and choice.
Hmm.
And I think what we're going to discuss tonight is like the perfect follow up. So
Hmm.
we're going into exploring the stories that we tell ourselves in order to survive. We're examining how, maybe denial and self protection can show up in families. We're going to be talking about the relationship between image and identity. And, the whole point of this conversation, we're not here to point the finger, call nobody no liar, nothing crazy like that. We just want to invite some reflection. We're not here to blame anybody or badmouth anyone's families, but you know, we like to talk about these kinds of things. So the first thing I was thinking about, Tina, um, well, first of all, this conversation was Tina's idea. You want to talk
Hey,
about,
did you
yeah?
give did you give the thankful part? Because I heard the church announcements.
You didn't hear my gratitude?
No, you had no gratitude.
I absolutely had gratitude.
You
Now,
did?
what were you doing when I was being grateful? First
I
of
don't
all,
know. I might have been putting.
I was talking about my spiritual growth and evolution.
Oh
I was
yeah, I
talking
remember
about
that
being
part.
grateful for how far I have come and
You
my
are so
attitude
right.
change. Yeah,
My bad.
exactly.
Yeah,
See, now we're
you're
going to
right.
start this whole thing off with a whole argument. Look at
I
this.
stand corrected.
Okay, I'm grateful. I didn't have to fight Tina tonight.
I
Um,
don't want none. I don't want it.
ah, okay, so I was thinking maybe you could tell us, what was on your mind when you were coming up with this topic. I know it was in the middle of one of our conversations. Oftentimes, that's how our show topics come up. We'll be talking about something, and one of us will go, ding.
Hmm. Lie and deny the things that we tell ourselves to survive. It's one of those things that came up because I still have this wrestling with oh wow. Won't be doing that, but I wonder where they are. Whose channel is he on? We got a troll.
Oh, how cute.
Hmm.
Okay, little trolly troll. Let's get you up out of here. This is not one of our cousins.
I'm trying to find him, but he's somewhere. I don't know where he is though. I don't know where
Yeah,
this man is.
he finna get booted right up out of here. I know that.
As soon as I find him, because I can't find where he is. That's crazy. Well, yeah, well, he's somewhere.
Count your
Yeah, but
days, troll.
count your days.
Count your days.
I know, right? This is something else. Oh, but anyway, I'll find him when I find him. But it's one of those things that I consider as it pertains to the fact that when it comes to Sandra, we got two trolls in here back to back.
Two trolls and two cousins.
Yeah,
That's
you just
crazy
got
work.
famous. Did you just get famous, cuz?
I,
Huh?
I, I think I'm getting trolled off of your fame, cuz.
T
Oh, that's
Brown,
funny.
long time, long time. How you been? I am doing well. If I might say so, I am well and shall be well. Or it
Period.
is well and it shall be well. So glad. Trolls be gone. That's what T Brown said.
Okay. T Brown,
Mm.
welcome to Two Cousins One Couch. You are our honorary cuz. We appreciate you. Thanks for passing through. Grab your little snack out the kitchen on your way. Ooh, child. Did we get rid of them?
I have not located them. It's a possibility that they could be on one two reels channels or something like that, unless it's in one of yours. Because they definitely are not in mine. So
Oh, okay, let
whoever
me
that
see.
brand spanking new troll is, I've never seen before.
Ooh, a
It's
shiny
in
new troll.
hidden,
Look at us.
shiny, shiny
Let me
new
see if I
troll.
can find them on mine. I can't imagine that, but it could happen, I
That
suppose.
man said, "Who's trolling? I'm being real." This is a Gooning channel. I could be a moderating spirit for you. Oh, that is
Oh, she
hilarious.
said they are on my channel. Okay, let me go find them. Oh,
Who is your
child.
channel?
I assume she's talking about me.
Oh, it's my channel.
Oh, it's
Oh
your channel
well,
too?
she's modding on my channel, so she most
Oh,
if
she
she
got
got
you.
them, she got them.
Oh,
Yeah.
security. Cool.
Okay, I see.
As you were
Appreciate that.
saying, cuz.
Most certainly. This is what I'm talking about. Yolanda in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But back to what I was saying about lie and deny. Um, we learned how to lie from somewhere, and I think I've touched on that a couple of times throughout the past 12 months about how we have all this messaging that tells us rather than be open and honest, forthcoming, and transparent, just lie. Just lie till our souls content. Just lie until don't nobody know what the heck we talking about. Just lie. And a lot of times it's about trying to survive a moment. It's about trying to survive a um a mindset or survive a particular area as it pertains to our lives. Because we can be trying to survive trauma a lot of times, and rather than
Mm-hmm.
face the fact that you know someone may have just wronged us in one of the most horrible of ways, we rather be like, it wasn't that bad. Hey, everybody makes mistakes. But the truth of the matter is, it may take us years to get over that trauma, decades to
Mm,
get over the trauma. And sometimes, in the whole aspect of being willing to lie and deny, part of that is I'm trying to survive this moment and feel like I have some semblance of a steady mindset. I don't want to feel like I'm losing my mind because of what I'm willing to acknowledge. This is like today, and me acknowledging, the different things that I'm experiencing right now as it pertains to not being able to find a good remedy for my back troubles and things of that nature. And
mm,
those of you all who have had or experienced back trouble, you know how that can be tricky. Just
mm,
trying to find the right medications, finding exercise that does not add to your pain or add harm, to you or cause you to hurt yourself. And so it's just one of those things where I'm like, okay, the truth of the matter is I hustled myself into almost being paralyzed. You know what I'm saying? And it's
mm,
like, I'm out there trying to get every dollar and I'm trying to make all the money. And after it was all said and done, I hurt myself
mm,
severely in trying to chase that dollar. And I think about that, how long had I been hurting myself over the years and I just ignored it because I was able to hop back up and keep going. and
Mm,
and it took today for me to admit that, hey, I do have problems. And that's not to
yeah.
say I've never acknowledged it before, but I had never
Right.
gone into detail about what's actually going on with me. And but I didn't learn that at first. I learned that you just, I'll be all right, and you keep it pushing because nobody wants
Mm,
to hear your sad story. No one is offering you, a pat on the back for tears. It's like my tears make other people uncomfortable. Therefore, I'm not willing to divulge what I'm actually going through with people. And so
mm,
I have learned that lying and denying can be a great part of a person's life if they don't have a safe place to land. If they have if they don't even have the courage to say what's going on with them, they will tell them rebrand their experience as a story that has nothing to do with what's actually going on. They will rebrand their experience into something that's a little more palatable to be able to explain to someone else so they're not looking at you like, oh, you're just trying to be a charity case, or you're just trying to do this and that and the other. So they'll rebrand it to make themselves either look like the hero or make themselves look like a villain sometimes, depending on just not wanting to look like they're weak or they're broken or they're hurting.
mm. Yeah. So I'm hearing you like you're talking about, what inspired you. And it sounds like you grew up where you had to be strong or at least
Mhm.
appear strong,
Right.
where, kind of under that never let them see you sweat type
Mm-hmm.
of teaching, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what you
Right.
crying for? and
Mm-hmm.
and I love how you're sharing how today, you just could not hold that anymore. You ended up crying, you ended up sharing, you know, with people you probably would have normally kind of kept up that armor with, and you just ended up letting it out tonight. And it makes me think, and feel free to join us, in the chat, cousins, because this is a family conversation. What are some stories that we learned early that helped us cope? Of course, I'm coming from the same bloodline as Tina, different branch of the family tree, but I absolutely was raised to believe that crying was weakness. I was raised to believe that talking too much about your feelings was a problem, and I've
Mm-hmm.
always been a really, really expressive person.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I got called all kinds of names for it. As a child, I was very sensitive, still am. I will cry at the drop of a hat. You can ask Tina. It's just kind of how I'm built. And growing up in a family, and we have a lot of military people in our family too.
Mm-hmm.
And I often tell people I was not raised like a girl. I was raised like a soldier. And so
Right.
there's often this pressure that is put on you to keep marching, no matter what is going on. And so, I would say, listening to me and Tina, when I think about the question, what are some stories we learned early on that helped us cope? I learned early in life that my feelings did not matter.
Mm-hmm.
That is a story that has uh, gone through a good chunk of my life with me. Oh, Antonice, yes, cousin Antonice said too emotional. I've been there for sure. Let's see. Uh-oh.
Yeah, they're back.
I can't
I
really
saw.
read this other one. Uh, can you?
Which one?
Are
This
we?
one?
Oh, it's them people. Are we? Okay,
Yeah, it's the
we're not.
troll again.
That's nothing to
Mm-hmm.
read. That's
Oh, while we're waiting on her to come back, I'm sure she's having a couple of technical difficulties. But one thing that she was both saying that as it pertains to having a um,
cousin. Can you hear me?
military. Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
I I was trying to. scroll up and scrolled my cell phone out. My apologies, everybody. I am back.
You could just time them
Um,
out, Anthony's. You can just time them out 24 hours. They ain't gonna do nothing but make another page and come back. Definitely got your work cut out for you with that one.
mm, I'm so
But as
grateful
you were
that we,
saying, you
yeah.
said, well,
Oh, I was gonna say I'm so grateful we have the cousins that we have in this room.
mm,
We got good security. That's how you know uh, when you could just be sitting on the couch and you ain't even got to get up because somebody else don't take care of that.
hmm
I appreciate that. Um, but yeah, I saw Anthony say too sensitive, but now I can't see it anymore. So I don't know if I've lost access to the chat. But I was thinking about something, and Tina, tell me what you think about this. I'm just gonna ask the question straight out, and then we'll kind of
you
talk
said
about it.
too emotional. There she go, right there.
Oh, too emotional. There it goes. Thank you
hmm
for finding it. Um, cause who would you say taught you how to lie?
Mm. I learned by proxy
Mm-hmm.
of my sister, the sister that's right under me. We're a year and a half apart, and I saw how she was treated for being
Mm.
too emotional or described as too emotional.
Yep.
And she would cry, and that was always, her cries were always looked at as being offensive, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
were looked at as if, and they were met harshly, um, by, you know, whomever was around that did not believe in that kind of sensitivity or that expressing those type of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And going through and seeing that for myself, I was like, no, you won't hit me because I'm over here crying. And so I learned how to stuff my feelings. That's number one. You know,
Yeah,
that was
for sure.
my first elements of lying was not saying anything, not showing anything.
Yeah.
Show no fear, show no pain, show no anguish. Um, and in that, I learned essentially how not to show anything at some
Yes.
point. You know, because if I
And I.
can, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, no, you're good, cuz. Continue, please.
If I can hide an emotion, I can hide my deeds.
Yeah, that's felt. That's felt. I see Yolanda saying she's been told she was too emotional as well.
hmm
Yeah. Yeah, I think especially, if you were, born anytime millennial, Gen X, baby boomer, no tears were just seen like Tina said. Tears are offensive. Like, how dare you? How dare you be crying around here? And I think it's more than even tears, right? There are emotions that are acceptable emotions. Um,
hmm
but I would say in a lot of, more old school black families, too much emotional expression in general from children is not a thing. Like, don't be too happy because we don't want to hear all that noise, right? All that hooting and hollering, get it out of here. But
hmm
also, you better not be angry because who the hell do you think you are walking around in my house with an attitude, right?
hmm
Don't be sad. Don't have no heartbreak about nothing. Don't express any kind of disappointment. Nobody's saying it like that, but like we're talking about, oftentimes there are messages that we are receiving. And so when I was thinking about that question, who taught you how to lie? I think the person who taught me how to lie was the person who whooped me the most for lying. And that was my mama. And it was like the weirdest thing because my mother valued honesty,
Mm-hmm.
right? And rest her soul, love my mama. May she always rest in peace. But she definitely had a weird way of trying to get me to open up about things because
Mm-hmm.
I would be honest naturally. And I believe
Mm-hmm.
that children are typically pretty honest, right? Honest to a fault, right? Sit up there and
Mm-hmm.
yell up out at the family dinner, some business they wasn't supposed to be yelling out. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
kids kids will tell everybody at the top of their lungs how somebody breath stank, and now
Mm-hmm.
everybody's embarrassed. Kids don't
Mm-hmm.
care. I think kids are naturally almost almost brutally honest because they don't realize, until we teach them that some of that stuff really doesn't need to be said out loud. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I think back to my mom, she would tell me to tell the truth, and I remember, tell the truth and you won't get a whooping. And I tell the truth and I still get a whooping. I'm like, hold on, somebody lied. And so after a while, I'm like, oh, I just gotta lie better. So I just got to make
Mm-hmm.
sure I lie in such a way where I don't get caught. And I started, learning how to craft my lies. And I think oftentimes unintentionally, parents, grandparents, teachers, right? They teach children to lie when they're
Mm-hmm.
tone policing us, right? And they're telling kids, to fix your face, watch your tone, forcing you to comply, um, forcing you to do things that maybe you don't want to do,
Mm-hmm.
because oftentimes, and you could tell me what you think about this, Tina, I find a lot of Black parents, especially the older school Black parents, they're doing a lot of this to protect their image
Yes.
because they don't want to be seen as a person that has, a misbehaving child, a child who's not, showing up to represent the family brand. It's Trollerson all up in here tonight.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, Yolanda said, absolutely got a whooping regardless. Yeah, kids have
Mm-hmm.
no filter at all. Yep. If you cried, told to get over it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And we're just going to skip on over that gremlin who showed up in the chat. So, anyway, what are your thoughts, dear cousin?
Um,
Would you
there
say that
was a
sometimes the adults
policeman.
teach the kids?
Yeah, yeah, you're taught to lie. I know that at some point, if you go back in history, there was for preservation.
Yes, yes, for sure. Respect.
And
Yes.
I have to take it back that far mainly because a
Yeah,
lot of times people don't understand the history of why people do the things that they do. Um,
absolutely.
and it's one of those things where I don't ever want to take lightly the fact that people don't who don't know their history don't exactly understand what it is about it that is still being carried on from generation to generation,
Mm-hmm.
and how much of their trauma is passed on mainly because people do not understand things that
Yep.
are operating from generation to generation and what it presents itself as well. Because if it's one thing that I come to understand, it's the fact that you making us look bad initially
Yep.
started with a thing of, if one person does it, everyone gets in trouble.
Yeah.
If one person does it, we all suffer because we're
Yeah.
all punished at the same time. Um,
Yeah.
and on top of that, you don't want to become the example
Yeah.
before everyone else because they'll treat you worse and watch and make force us to watch you as you're punished, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Yep.
so, yeah, there's no telling what all went through the minds of fathers who had to watch their children go through things and watch their wives go through things. And so everyone had a unified front of hey, you don't do these types of things in front of other people.
Yeah.
And that's for your safety. And it ended up translating into, don't be going nowhere embarrassing me. You
Yep.
know, you're gonna
Yep.
make me look bad. Um, because there were certain standards that were embedded because that was the way that you're supposed to carry yourself.
Yep.
And those presuppositions passed down from generation to generation, each one maybe becoming weaker as it pertains to the original idea, gets watered down, and now you're just doing things just because somebody said do it, without taking into consideration how much has changed and how much no longer affects you in that way, where you have to continue carrying on those particular cycles of
Yep.
what would be considered normalcy. Because at the end of the day, if the person becomes the authority figure in that home, they feel like how I look matters. Whether it's how I look matters to my society, to my
Mhm.
neighbors, to my environment,
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
front of the schoolhouse, at my job, it, in some aspects, it really does matter. And so, but in others, it's just a thing of you just are more concerned about how you look due to pride, and not for the fact that you're going to lose something that's detrimental to your everyday living.
Yeah. And then, I wonder, how far do we take that, right? Your reputation, your how people see you. Uh, Oftentimes, when you're talking about how we have to, or when you were giving your example about you learning to hide your emotions early in life, right? What
Hmm.
ends up happening, the messaging is the parents' emotions do matter because they care about how they're being perceived, right? And if they're being
Hmm.
perceived in a way that doesn't feel good, that is bringing up emotions. Emotions are being catered to.
Hmm.
And so then you start learning, well, whose image actually matters, right? Whose emotions do matter.
Hmm.
Who gets to be honest, in this home space and who doesn't.
Hmm.
Um, and then that makes me also think, obviously, as you're sharing your story, learning how to mask your feelings, that served you. It has served you, right? It's been, I'm
Yes.
sure you've benefited from it. You said even looking at the difference between how your sister was treated and then learning like, shoot, that ain't gonna be me, right? I'm sure that has protected you. I can definitely say, um, I've been protected. You know, even to this day, I'm a person who is very uh, feelings oriented, but baby, I
Hmm.
don't share that with everybody.
Hmm.
So when are some times where it has served you that you can think of, even in your adult life?
Um, Knowing how to speak, when to speak, has gotten me, has kept me alive. If I'm just honest,
Hmm.
I've had situations where um bravery counted, where I was
Tell me
able to
more.
stand up to someone who was in the
Mm.
process of trying to take from me,
Hmm.
with a weapon aimed at me.
Mm.
And it was in that moment where I knew how to say what I needed to say in that moment. And of course I attribute a lot of that to God's grace, and
Yeah.
that what I said wasn't triggering to them. You know,
Yeah.
what I said wasn't the thing that pushed them right over the edge and caused them to do something to me in that moment. But it was that calm demeanor, but willingness to say no, that allowed me to escape what could have been a worse situation.
Hmm.
And I remember, being in situations where I couldn't say anything. I had to know when to shut all the way up and not um be willing to be submitted to what was going on in that moment, even
Right.
though I didn't like what I was experiencing at the time, but it spared my life again. So
Mm.
I can say that there have been plenty of times where, hey Trisha, I see you. Appreciate you coming in.
Welcome, cuz.
Well, not honorary cousins. Um, but it was definitely one of those times where I'm like, okay, I don't like the situation I'm in, but worst case scenario, if I say anything in this moment, it could cost me my life.
Yes.
And so knowing how to say, when to speak, when not to speak, how to say, and what force, being able to read a room
Yeah.
has preserved my life
Yeah.
on many occasions.
Yeah, for sure. And I can think of many situations, even in my own life, where learning how to put up the armor, right? Learning how to mask has benefited me, for sure. Learning how to fix my face. But now let's talk about, because we know that obviously when we learn these survival tactics when we're little, right? There is a reason. There is a benefit. We're not going to act like every time we have lied or presented ourselves uh, differently than what was actually going on, that it was always something bad happening. Sometimes it really is survival. Sometimes it really is, like you said, a matter of life and death. Or I don't know if I'm allowed to use that word on YouTube.
Mhm.
Life and the afterlife.
Yeah.
um, but when did you notice that this survival tactic was costing you?
Um, a few years ago,
Mhm.
maybe about what's this, 2026, maybe about 8 years ago.
What was
Um,
happening?
7 or 8 years ago, maybe. I had a situation where I had a supervisor who was stressing me the heck out. And prior to me meeting her, I was not on any blood pressure medications. I didn't have any issues with anxiety.
Oh
Um,
wow.
I didn't have any trepidation about going to work. I went through a whole lot, um, and was stressed out for several years, because of what was going on. And it was a thing of not being able to defend myself, the way my type of defending myself, because I know some people, you could just go off on them and you'll have a good day. I'm not one of them people. I'm going to preserve my energy to do something, not to talk. If I'm talking to
Mm,
you, it's because you're related to me. If I'm talking to you,
mm,
it's because I know you really well. When you somebody outside of that sphere, it can go down.
mm,
And so I was experiencing one of those moments of I don't want to lose my employment, but I don't want this person to keep treating me the way that they're treating me. And because they had the position that they had, there was nothing that I could do about it.
mm,
And so really had to pray about it, to be honest.
mm. I think it's really, whew, I think it's really something that you touched on, right? The
Mhm.
ways
Mhm.
that learning how to live those little lies, right? And and
Mhm.
if you've been carrying a story since you were a kid, and maybe the story is, as quite a few of us have talked about, emotions. Nobody cares about my emotions, right? Let's say that's your story, and you're walking
Mhm.
through life. Nobody cares about my emotions. I'm not allowed to share what I feel because nobody cares, right? I'm too emotional anyway, so let me cut it off. And you start
Mhm.
lying to yourself and telling yourself, I'm good. I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm good. No, I'm fine. Oh, it's all good. And each time you minimize, each time you downplay what you're feeling, what you're going through, there is a cost, right? Yes,
Mhm.
we have discussed that there are benefits, right? It can protect you. It can be a matter of survival. But then you hit something that I think happens to a lot of us, you know, and I really see a lot of it in the workplace. I know I
Mhm.
certainly have, because I have definitely had quite an experience in many workplaces where, and jobs are so funny, right? They love to say, "Oh, we're all a family here," and they love to sell themselves as being different from other companies, and you know,
Mhm.
it'd be a bunch of malarkey because you get in there and, like you said, you didn't have any high blood pressure, you did not have any anxiety.
Mhm.
They handed you that along with your little check. And I know that check was not enough to cover all of that drama that you were going
Still
through
ain't
in there.
enough. No.
It's never enough.
Mm-mm.
It's never enough. And so oftentimes what's happening is those lies, they're chipping away at us. And the more we do it, and the more we get used to living that lie and suppressing our emotions and and just living this life where we are repressed, we end up paying for it with our health. Because
Mhm.
the body ain't gonna go for those. Like, you can lie all day, and the body's like, oh, I'm still sick though. I'm still stressed. I know you told everybody you were cool, and I know on the outside you kept your face straight, and maybe you even learned how to control your breathing, but
Mhm.
you're not good. And
No.
and I've
Far from it.
seen right, I've seen so many of us, and when I say us, I'm being very specific, about Black people, where we are the best people on earth at performing calm. We know how to perform calm. Oh, hold on. We got some cousins coming up in here.
Mhm.
Well, let's
Elevate
acknowledge our
me to
cousins.
you, who we know is me two times. We're so glad that you decided to hang out with us tonight. Greetings. We want to just acknowledge you as one of our honorary cousins in the two cousins, one
Yes.
couch space.
Hey, hey,
Um,
hey.
make yourself at home.
Please do. Thank you for joining us, our honorary cousin. I don't even, child, that squirrel got me. Help.
um, yeah, I know, right? But it's one of those things that I think about as it pertains to um, the whole thing of being in those toxic spaces
Mm-hmm.
and what we've experienced. Yeah, I get the thing about being black, but there was another layer to it because I was
Mm-hmm.
being suppressed by another woman. And it wasn't,
Mm.
at some point, there was only she and I. We were the only two women on the crew, her as a supervisor and me as a worker. Yet I was being
Mm.
um, completely suppressed by her, oppressed by her. And
Mm-hmm.
it was in that I was like, this ain't even fair. When you got your position, I was applauding you. I was clapping it up for you. I was celebrating
Mm.
you. But then you get the position, and it's like now you try to put your foot on my neck. And I didn't understand that. It was unnecessary when I wanted her to have the position that she had because I felt like she represented us, quote unquote. But
Mm.
it was
Mm.
one of
Mm. Mm.
those things where it's like, okay, now it's something else. I'm like, don't be threatened by me because I work with excellence. Just know that you have a good worker. Why you can't look at it from that perspective? And it just took many years of the back and forth and changing of uh, hours and working crazy hours and uh, having being expected to do go above over and beyond the call of duty in so many different ways and until some of that stuff attributed to some of the issues I have now,
Mm-hmm.
because it was one of those things of you got a person that's trying to break you by making you work so much, but then your lifestyle conforms to or adjusts to the money that you're making because you're always at work. And then one day you can't work all those hours. And it's like, wait, now you're trying to find other means and other ways to make up the difference, and you end up hurting yourself in the process. And so I think about that, how there were so many factors as it pertains to what happens when you're in that space with someone and it is their they basically teach you how to suppress all of your emotions because they're the person in
Mhm.
power. You know, they
Mhm.
teach you
Mhm.
how to suppress how you actually feel so you don't react
Mhm.
in a way
Mhm.
that is savage. Good matter of fact, I could say that when I was working there at that time, there was a label put on me, and I wasn't none of that label. But the more the push and the poke and the prodding made me want to act like what I was labeled as. And so I had
Mm.
to fight the urge to go hate on people, to be the savage that they said I was, all because I had a jacket attached to my name. And they figured that they could use that against me.
Mm. Man, so whew, right, and having this discussion about image and having this discussion about the lies we tell ourselves. I think that that is like a strategy that is so commonly used, right? You use and abuse someone, and the way you control them is by labeling them negatively, and then
Mhm.
you get because they want to prove that they're not like whatever you're saying that they are. And so they already don't get the chance to just exist as a human. And even I was seeing here, as Yolanda was talking about, oh, I lost it. I held it here, but it moved on. I was trying to find her comment. That eventually leads to an emotional breakdown when you suppress your feelings. I think a
Mhm.
lot of times, jobs especially, right? They press that button on purpose. They have it down to a science how to lean on people, and then when they finally crash out, it's like, see, we knew that's how you were, and it's like,
Mhm.
no, that's called a human being who's had enough. They're fed up. They have a reason to be angry. They have a reason, to take up for themselves. And it's definitely given that throw the rock and hide your hand kind of energy. I can't stand it.
Mhm. I
I
just wanted to
see.
make sure that I acknowledged Out the Pit is with us tonight. I see you in the chat. I did try to make sure that I waved or at least give my salutations in the chatments. But we appreciate your presence here tonight. I just wanted to add you as one of our honorary cousins in the space. We ask that you make yourself at home. We appreciate you hanging out with us tonight.
Hello, out the pit, our honorary cousin. And we're just discussing the lies we tell ourselves and image and identity and all these things that come up. But yeah, I've
Hmm.
seen it. I've definitely seen it happen a lot in jobs where, again, you're being pressured to be someone you're not. And sometimes you're even getting pushed into a corner, uh,
Hmm.
to be another version of you that you're not, right? Because I don't think it's fair to try to label somebody what's good, because to try to label somebody based on how they feel when they're being put you know under just an extreme amount of pressure and abuse.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Um, And that's the thing. It makes me think about people that are in other fields, like you have your firemen or you have your
Hmm.
police officers who deal with the stress of, complete strangers calling you pigs, complete strangers that are, degrading, and demeaning towards you. Have a sense of hatred towards you, not even knowing your character. You haven't done anything. You're just trying to do your job, and then you have to, and then they go home. And it's like, who taught them how to decompress? Who taught them how to live their life beyond what their experience is without either suppressing those emotions where they don't talk about it at all, or next thing you have an individual that's volatile, in a volatile space where they could blow up at any given moment. If it's not that, then they're imploding. They sitting there, they drinking themselves half to death, or just so many different aspects of life that is getting trashed just because of the levels of stress and the lies they told themselves about, um, this mattering to some degree, or I have to do this because this person or that person is expecting me to be this, or desires for me to be that.
Mm,
Because trapped in a sense of duty, a lot of times is just the pride of trying to be something to somebody else.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I was even thinking about, in our family, um, like I said, we come from a family that has quite a few military people, but we also have a family with a lot of religious people.
Yes.
And, I think that shows up a lot in religious families where
Hmm.
the image, right, how you are presenting starts to matter a lot more than you just being your authentic self.
Hmm. Um, I think that being attached to something or being a part of something that identifies you can be a trap in and of itself. Because if
Yep.
you're allowing the thing on the outside, whether that be a building or an ideology, to define you, then you can easily walk into a trap, that someone else has
Yep.
set for you, and you just living by someone else's words. On the other hand, I do believe that people have a innate desire to be connected, whether that's connected to one another or being more connected to their own families, connected to their past, connected to what they consider as God, in their lives, in one way or another. And so I think about that as it pertains to that desire can be hijacked by anyone. That desire can be exploited by anyone if it's not guarded properly. If it's not if proper vetting has not been done as well. Because I don't think it's
Hmm.
anything wrong with having religion, but if that religion is not teaching you how to interact with people and not turn it into something that's so starchy that if you do anything that's different from it, there's the punishment and the consequences are so severe, that you can't really live with people at all. There's a problem with it, you know. Um,
Mm.
and so it's one of those things where I tread lightly in that I try not to come against people's religion because you don't know how people were raised. On the other hand, it's like, but they're not wrong for wanting to believe in something. They're not wrong in desiring to place their faith or their belief system or whatever, wherever they want to place it. The thing about it is, are you able to be held accountable to the decisions that you make, even as it pertains to who you're associating yourself with and who you're governing yourself by? Because a lot of people want to point the finger at somebody else when a lot of times, they need to take accountability for their own actions.
We got Simply Shayla in the room.
Hey,
Simply Shayla
Shayla.
says, "Hey Tina."
So glad that you decided to come hang out with us. Just want to recognize you as one of our honorary cousins and hope that you are able to um, hang and chill with us for a minute. Thanks for coming and hanging with us.
Absolutely. Welcome, welcome. Oh, out the pit says, "I used to identify as a Hebrew Israelite. A lot of what I was attracted by was the identity it gave me at the time."
Hmm.
And I think, just keeping the focus. And so when I brought up religion, it had nothing to do with criticizing people for religion. It's
Mhm.
about what happens when we use whatever we're identifying with to, one, we identify with it so much that now we have to uphold a certain type of image. We have
Mhm.
to present a certain brand, right? We have to represent
Mhm.
ourselves in such a way where now the image becomes more important than who we truly are.
Mhm. Mhm. And I think there's a fine line there. And what is the balance
Hmm.
of being who you are and taking on a set of ideas that you think will work for your life better, you know? Is you okay?
I have really enjoyed this. I'm looking at the comments, and then hold on. I think I saw something else. Out the Pit said religion can be a great tool. Simply Shayla said, thank you. I'll be counting down the time to midnight. Then it'll be my birthday. Oh, snap.
Oh, you Central Standard Time, 'cause if you still counting to 12 o'clock, you on the same time
Uh,
I'm on.
okay. We got to make sure we stop at midnight and celebrate her birthday. Out the Pit
Ooh,
says,
yeah,
facts. I found identity, but kind of lost authenticity. Yeah.
yeah.
'Cause I think
Mhm.
I think that happens with a lot of people, right?
Mhm.
Whatever the thing is, Tina brought up sometimes police officers, but whatever it is, right? You're a parent, you're a police officer, you're involved in some sort of religion, whatever that thing is that you are identifying super strongly with, you know, at what point does the image become more important than the truth? At what point
Mhm.
does what you're presenting mean more to you than who you actually are? I
Mhm.
think, those are important questions. So I hear where you're coming from, cuz.
Mhm. Yeah, because I think it's the thing about taking inventory. Are you
Hmm.
still being you? Are you still you? I understand the becoming process. I understand the whole thing of, oh, I need to learn what I can and cannot take on as it pertains to a thing. My whole thing is don't go in lying to yourself.
Hmm.
Don't become
Hmm.
something that you're not. That's not authentically you. Um, and I get the whole thing of, if I wasn't, if I've never done karate or if I've never done taekwondo or whatever that may have come across or what have you, and I'm not expecting to be go out here and act like I'm a black belt and I'm just getting started. I haven't mastered things yet. If I'm just getting started, I got me a good white belt. That's it, and trying to work my way up to a brown belt or something. But I haven't made it to the black belt. And so in that, I take into consideration that some people present themselves like they have a black belt in something they only have a yellow belt in. They are just beginning in something. And so they want to look like they're experts, but they don't have the pedigree behind the thing that they're trying to present. And I think it's one of those things, faking it till you make it is not always the way to go. You're just lying to yourself.
I love fake it till you make it. I mean, I love that you brought that point up, right? Because I think
Hmm.
that can definitely be one of those kind of origin survival stories, right?
Hmm.
That goes
Yeah.
along with, if the story is nobody cares about how I feel, right? Or the story is I got to do whatever I got to do to get ahead. That fake it till you make it can certainly be
Hmm.
something that's taught to you young. So then when you bring up, oh, well, you know, don't lie to yourself, when you start identifying with things like religion or maybe some sort of service based career or becoming a parent, oftentimes I don't think people are aware, right, that they're lying to themselves. I don't even know if a lot of people even, especially in the kind of society that we've come up in, I don't know if a lot of people even have the awareness of what's happening inside of them
Hmm.
to even be able to, notice. if they're lying to themselves, if they're just getting pulled into something, if they are not being who they truly are. Because if you've been hiding from who you are your whole life, lying to yourself about what you feel, telling yourself you good when you're not, man, you're not even trained to tap into your own intuition. You're not even trained to to have any sort of discernment around the decisions that you're making.
I think one of the biggest misnomers is even as adults, you forget to ask questions
Yep.
because you're taught not to question authority. You're taught to do as I say, not as I do. You're taught do what I tell you to do. You know, um, and you're taught you go to school, you do what the teacher tell you to do. You go to to the store. Don't be embarrassing me in the store. Just do what I tell you to do. And you get that messaging when you're younger to the point where you forget that you actually have a voice and you have a mind that goes outside of because you were inquisitive as a kid. You had
Yep.
questions about things. There is always some question that a kid has, but what they don't have all the time is an avenue in which to discuss those things. Um,
Yep.
and so, but growing up, not being able to discuss things is what kind of makes people, causes people to be entrapped in that whole thing of, oh, I shouldn't say nothing. I don't want to rock the boat, and things of that nature. When in fact, no, the fact that this question has popped into your mind means that you need an answer because that answer may navigate you in the space where you need to be and not just where you landed.
Yep. And I see we got
Um,
another cousin in the chat.
hmm Anywhere, anytime, JD is in the building. I appreciate you. Just want to acknowledge you as one of our honorary cousins. We appreciate you in the space tonight.
Hola, cuz out the pit says, I believe you're taught not to ask questions. I would agree. I was thinking that as you were sharing.
Mhm.
Then as you grow, you have the same questions, but you've become more afraid of the answers. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah, because
yeah, for
it's
sure.
in some ways the answers will shake up our metron. It will shake up our foundational principles in some way, especially if it's been built on someone else. What happens when you have to look your parent in the face and notice that they're not perfect?
Yep.
What does that actually do to you? When I remember one day I had this, and I mean you can laugh if you want to. Don't make me no difference. I remember at some point in time that I had this thing. But this lady said I'm about to doze off.
Oh,
I'm
she's
gonna
done
just
her
allow you to
best.
play. I
Thank you
just
for
finished
hanging
with
with
this
us,
one second.
Anthony's.
By all means, get you some rest. We the late night crew. Um,
Please.
yes, indeed. But what I can say is, I remember when I was younger, and I had this weird thing about believing everything that I was told. If adults said it, I believed it.
Oh.
Open and shut case, and was very, very green because of that. I remember growing up one day thinking that we were delivered from the stork down the chimney. Now I don't know where this story came from. I don't know if it was a combination between something my mama said, something I read in the Bible, and something I don't know, and something I saw in a cartoon. All I know was
you didn't read about no stork in your Bible, child.
child G. Now I ain't finished telling you the story though. I thought that we was
Okay.
delivered by a stork, and I thought my mama was a virgin like Mary.
Oh.
She had never known a man, but I knew I had a daddy. Didn't put two and two together. Then one day, I remember thinking to myself, "Hey, we didn't come down no chimney. Hey, babies come out of humans."
Uh oh.
Oh no, my daddy has defiled my mother. And I was like, stupid. No, that's how you was born. I
Not defiled. What?
I was mad at my daddy. I'm like, how dare he?
I wasn't ready for that one.
I mean, because I thought she was unblemished. Now, this is my own mind doing its own
Unblemished.
thing.
These words are cracking me up. How old were you even thinking about someone
I
being
don't remember.
blemished?
I was young, whatever it was, and I was old, finding out differently. I might have started thinking about
Tickled.
it like when I was like 3 to 4 or 5, maybe. But I didn't stop thinking that until I was like maybe 8, 9, or 10 or something like that. So I think a good 5 years I was out here slow as a box of rocks. But, you know, I found out differently. I was like, I can't believe it.
Mm, 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 mm. That's funny. I was thinking about, the extremes in some of those stories we believe, right? Like on one hand, we're talking about when you minimize, it's not that bad. I've been through worse. It's okay. Sometimes we make mountains out of the molehills too, and that's a
Hmm.
lie, right? I can't trust nobody, or this idea that all of a certain type of person is bad, whatever bad means to you. Um,
Hmm.
and so we can find ourselves either acting like everything's cool when it's not, or we can find ourselves, just walking around, with this big chip on our shoulders that the world is out to get us, and
Hmm.
everybody's in cahoots.
Hmm.
There's always a disaster waiting for us around the corner. Um,
Hmm.
I've seen that show up uh, as well. I think that's when I think about a lot of adults. I think that's where a lot of us walk around with that anxiety, right? Because we're kind of vacillating between suppressing our emotions, right? Telling ourselves stuff ain't that bad, but then having this heightened sense of something terrible is going to happen, right? At the same time,
Hmm.
feeling like we have to be hyper vigilant because you just never know. Hold on. And you ain't the only one who believed the stork story, Tina.
Hmm. I mean, it's one of those things where, you recognize your own ignorance at some point. But I think all of that could have been resolved if I was just able to ask some questions. And I don't know if I felt comfortable with asking that question when I was younger, because I know that
Mm,
if I didn't know nothing else, I knew that sex or anything close to it was a taboo topic.
mm.
Because if it weren't so taboo, I would have known something by the time I was over there thinking that the stork had us,
How old
sliding
were
down the
you? Do you
chimney.
remember?
It'd have been like 8 or 9 or 10 or something like that.
Gotcha. And were you already familiar with? Oh, it's my. Were you already familiar with sex at that age?
Yes, but uh, yes and no. It was one of those things of, okay, I can't even remember. I had to remember how old I was because I do know a few things. I got suspended in the fourth grade, and it probably would have been around that same time that the light bulbs came on. A lot of them at a young age, but they weren't all. They were all for a long time. I was exposed to a lot of pornography growing up. Um, my grandfather had a satellite. I knew all the channels by heart because he would watch them. Not just sitting there watching, but he would like go past them in the middle of the day in broad daylight. And I'm like, I wouldn't be like one of those kids like, oh, I saw this and I saw that. I didn't say nothing. I just looked, paid attention to what was happening, paid attention to what channel it was on, and remember and memorized it. And
Mm.
so. And so in the middle of the night, I would be watching stuff I ain't had no business watching. Well, later on, I would go through stuff in the house and whatnot. And I found my uncle's he had pornography and or corn, because I don't think you say the p word, but he had corn
Right.
in the house, and then we found it. Shoot, they took it to school like they're giant dummies, but we still took it. And me and my sister, the one that's right under me, we got suspended from school. So around that same time, I think was me kind of learning things. You know, you see stuff, but you don't know what it is. And I had a lot of that. I had a lot
Got it.
of, I saw things, I heard things, but I didn't have a definition for the things that I saw and heard.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So
Hmm.
you had been introduced to it, but in such an inappropriate way. But
Hmm.
your little kid brain still wasn't connecting. Like, oh, this is what my parents did.
Right. Had no idea.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. Blue Shade is laughing. Hmm, this is this is
Hey, Donald.
interesting.
I just want to acknowledge Donald as one of our honorary cousins. I see you. Just want to acknowledge you. Appreciate you for sharing the space with us tonight and hanging out with us.
Hello, hello, our honorary cousin. Welcome, welcome. We are happy to have you here. And we are talking about the stories we tell ourselves to survive, whether they are good stories, whether they're stories that don't feel so good. I think we can all admit that there have been times in our life where we have either believed a lie or told ourselves a lie or told somebody else a lie, whether it was by minimizing how we felt or catastrophizing. So, if you have ever had that experience, you are in good company. Okay, well, let's talk about this because I've been thinking about this idea of forgiveness. And, I've seen this a lot. I, I really see it a lot with little kids, um, where in families, a child does something that is, you know, not acceptable based on whatever family culture they're in. And they're told, to say you're sorry, right? Uh, and the kid might not. Oftentimes, the kid ain't sorry, right? The kid did it, they meant it, they were happy to do it. It was important to them to do it. And then now it's like you got to start telling yourself or telling the family, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Um, how do you think that impacts children, Tina?
Um, I don't think the kids have proper outlets, to be honest, to be able to discuss things in a way that would not, number one, shatter who they are as children, but can inform them properly without being um, perverse or crude or cruel in nature. Um, I think that one of the biggest things is teaching kids how to be themselves. It's so hard because, as much as a person would want their child to go in a particular way, it does not necessarily mean, um, it does not necessarily mean that we always have the best um, idea about where children should go, how they should learn, what they
Yeah,
can and cannot handle, and things of that nature. And I think it's just about having an open line of a communication with
yeah,
children, you know.
yeah. And that's tough, right? Because I feel like this entire conversation is talking about a certain balance, right? Because on one hand, you do want to teach children to take accountability for themselves, just like you were saying
Hmm.
when we were talking about religion, right? What is that difference between taking accountability for, however we're identifying as a spiritual being, but on the flip side, being authentically who we are, and and
Hmm.
And what does that look like? How do you balance all those things out? And with children, you're trying to raise children to be decent human beings. You're trying to raise them to know how to move through society in an appropriate manner. But then when does pushing them to behave or be appropriate, when does that turn into you turning them into somebody that they're not? You know, how can you teach a child how to be themselves, and on the flip side, train them to have a certain set of values, that will, help them get through life. I don't think that's easy. I would never want to be a parent. Oh, we got some new cousins in the chat.
Looney Tunes. So glad to see you out tonight. Appreciate your presence. Um, just want to acknowledge you as one of our honorary cousins in the space of the two cousins, one couch, and
Hmm.
hopefully you'll get something out what we're talking about tonight as it pertains to lie and deny. Some of these things we be telling ourselves just to survive moments, you know.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Oh, wait, what's happening here?
Donald
Oh,
is being a bit aggressive, and if he don't watch himself, he will get banned.
oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah, this is a show about family and overcoming in the family. So, let's all just be mindful. Again, reading the room. We reading the room in here. Um, but I was thinking about when I was bringing up, kind of forcing children into apologies, how that could even overflow into us kind of living in this world where we force forgiveness, right? Even when the forgiveness isn't necessarily even there, right? But there is this almost this ritual of you do something that somebody considers wrong, then there's this apology ritual and this, what's up? Oh, I thought you said something, cuz.
Mm-mm.
And then, you know, somebody has to, kind of almost behave as if they're okay with things, even if they're not, even if they're saying, they're apologizing for things that maybe they didn't mean to apologize for, or they're now feeling this pressure to forgive somebody that maybe they don't even, feel the need to forgive. Um, I was even thinking about, I used to have a ton of frustration toward my dad. And just, to be fully transparent with all my honorary cousins in here. So my dad went to prison when I was in my 20s. I think I was about 23 up until, and he was there for about 14 years. And I remember when he first went in, I was a good church girl at that time. And so my immediate response was just like, you know what? Obviously, this is what God wanted. He needed to get caught. He needs to clean up his life. It's time for him to start over. And I was already moving into this position of, I want to forgive my dad. I want to support my dad. And to be honest, I hadn't even taken the time to sit with how my dad's behavior impacted me. I was just
Mhm.
already ready to get into that posture of how do I support him? How do I forgive him? How do I move forward? And it took some years, before I realized, I mean, years of denial and all of that, right? We talking about the lying and denying. People were asking me about, well, Gose, it seems like, you know, maybe you have some daddy trauma. Maybe you have some issues that have come up in how your dad treated you. And oh no, I'm good. I'm good. I remember up until I was like 29, I kept thinking, I was good when I wasn't. And then one day it just
Mhm.
hit me and I was irate. All this just came piling down on me when I realized, oh, I have a lot of animosity toward this man. And I remember a friend of mine at the time asked me, well, I think you need, are you okay with forgiving? And I'm like, no, I'm not. And my whole life, based on how I'd been raised and based on, at the time what my religious beliefs were, I thought forgiveness was something I had to do. I didn't even think that it was an option to not forgive. I didn't even think that there was an option to sit with how I felt long enough. I thought forgiveness was something you had to offer immediately. I didn't even know, I didn't even know that there were other ways to go about things. So I can definitely see how, even my understanding of forgiveness was being weaponized, and I see that happen a lot in society, right? Where there's this expectation um, to kind of resolve things uh, faster than maybe what you're even prepared to. And I could see that, as performing a certain kind of image, right? Showing up a certain type of way that's inauthentic to who you are. Oh, Donald has been dealt with. Cuz, oh no.
My bad. I had to hit the mute button and didn't recognize.
You hit the mute button and stay muted.
Uh huh.
Welcome
Because I
back.
was like, oh yes, he been dealt with the quickness.
Good for him. Man, it's been one of those nights. People just been getting kicked up out of here.
Yes, we got Goonville, USA around here.
Apparently. Okay. Well, I think, because I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to share on tonight's topic.
Um, Not really. I think that this has been one of those things where, I mean, of course, I could do the wrap up if that's what you're talking about, but I think it's one of those things where I'm learning how to um, be a lot more honest with where I am in life,
Yeah.
with who I am as well. Um, I know that everyone can't necessarily handle me in every facet of my life. And it's not like I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff or living crazy or raggedy or whatever, but it's one of those things of I respect the fact that everyone can't handle who I am. And that's okay. That when I need to let my hair down or when I need to have a hard conversation or if I need to say something or get something off my chest, I have a community of people. I have a village. I have a tribe. I have people in my life that I can lean on when, the quiet part needs to be said out loud, but not necessarily in front of everybody on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. You know what I'm saying? It's more so one of those things of I need to discuss a matter that is private to me with those that I could be private with, and they share that space with me and hold that space for me. Um, and I think that's just where I am today, where I'm like, okay, since things are the way that they are, I want to be able to utilize those things to the best of my ability.
Makes sense to me. Yeah, I think I can relate to that for sure. Um, I think every day, you know, going back to what you said earlier about being curious, right? Not just being curious when it comes to talking to other people, but being curious with myself. You know, I've been learning to ask myself more questions, to slow down more and make sure that all of me is in agreement, with whatever decisions are being made. Because sometimes, the mind will make a decision that the body ain't really down with, or the body will go along with something and the heart really ain't on board with. And so I've been, for myself, really working on checking in and making sure that all of me is okay with the direction that I'm pointing myself in, or even making sure that I'm not being pulled in directions that none of me wants to go in. Oh wow. No, Looney Tunes, you are not blocked. Thank you for speaking to everybody. We had a troll in the room that had to get put out, and that caused a bit of a stir. Tina, I don't know if you're muted.
No, I shouldn't be. Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Oh no, I was uh while you were talking, I was trying to let Shayla know that that person, that individual, that last troll came after her specifically. And
Mm-hmm.
I was about to let her know to be careful. And just because you see my name and Anthony's name pop up at the same time, Anthony's is going to be it. That's just her chat rolls in at the same time mine does. Because of how the comment section is set up. But yeah, she and I think that it's my StreamYard. My StreamYard, whatever this thing is, Stream Elements that's blocking my own comments. I'm like, what? I can't even say what I'm trying to say because it's blocking my comments. That's been happening to me all day. I'm gonna have to get a hold of Stream Elements. Cut that out.
Mm.
But Looney Tunes, I appreciate you as well. I see you. You said blessings, ladies. Much love and respect. You have a great
Yeah, same to
morning.
you.
I know you're about to get out of here, but and I appreciate you for stopping by. Thanks, honorary cousin.
Thank you, thank you. And then we have to wish our honorary cousin Simply Shayla a happy birthday.
Oh, I got to put. Let me get my singing voice. Mm.
Me, me,
Hold on, I ain't ready
me.
yet.
We gonna have to sit
Happy
a mail your song.
birthday. I'm sorry. You gave me the key now. Now I'm about to sing. A
Oh,
happy
yes, ma'am.
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Shayla.
Mm,
Happy birthday to
to
you.
you. Yay!
Yay! Got me out here singing.
Yep,
I'm
we
gonna have to
got we got
erase
some
this
birthday cake
live
in
because
the kitchen.
I can't let nobody hear me sing like that.
Girl, I don't even got it on me, so I'm glad you had it.
Oh,
Oh, well,
oh,
we
it's
appreciate
official. Wait
having
a
you.
minute, Shirley. Did you just turn 18? Didn't you? Was it 18 or 17? I think she just turned. She just got grown.
Oh, just got grown. Yeah.
Mhm. That remind me of something I saw on what you call it? Boy, that tickled me so bad. They were singing, "She's a woman, she's a woman, and she's a woman." That was tickling me so bad. They were singing to some little girl who had the change of life, and they were singing to her, and it tickled me. Oh,
Well, cause I feel like we did it. It's done. We just celebrated Shayla's birthday. We done talked about lies and image and all those good things. You want to go ahead and close us out?
absolutely. Just as I had stated before, I just want to encourage you guys, and gals, ladies and gents, and everything in between and outside, because I don't want to leave anybody out. Those of you all who have come to a place in your life where you realize that you don't want to continue to live your life in a way that denies your experiences, that denies who you are and how you think to this day, that denies who you are as a person, your beliefs, your core beliefs, beyond what society tells you, beyond what you've been told, sometimes even by your own parents. But at some point, we always want to come to a place where we're willing to tell the truth. Not just a my truth thing, but tell the truth. Be willing to face your circumstances, face the situations that you've experienced, and be willing to look at it with a fresh pair of eyes, not judgmental, not pointing the finger, but just to let it be. Let it be what it is and recognize it for what it is. If it was good, it was good. If it was bad, it was bad. If it was right, it was right. If it was wrong, then it was wrong. Then you can move on from there. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to pitch your tent there or build a house or a monument to it. But what you can say is, I'm willing to move forward now that I have acknowledged my past, now that I have acknowledged who I used to be, now that I have acknowledged what I was taught. Now I can move forward in wisdom. I can move forward in knowledge. I can move forward in understanding. And I can move forward in truth. And that's all I got, cuz.
That's all we got. And thank you all again for joining us for our 7th episode of Two Cousins, One Couch. Lie and deny the stories we tell ourselves to survive. We appreciate every last one of you who showed up and spent quality time with us tonight. And you all have a wonderful night. And go to sleep, lay your fat heads down, because some of y'all sneaking on the phone hanging out with us.
I know, right? Bye.